No one is talking about this, but the Boston Celtics may have an issue with Jaylen Brown and his injury, as we saw him get really close to be sitting out and not playing for the Celtics in the second half. Minus him being sitting out, though, the Celtics had some great performances from their players in Jayson Tatum and Kristaps Porziņģis that almost led them to have a potential rematch with this team in the next round, which is giving the Celtics fans a little bit of a taste test of what this team could look like in the playoffs with Jaylen Brown playing with this injury or if he gets injured a little bit more. So we're going to dive in and explore all of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez with my co-host Patrick Billings. We're back with another duo, and Patrick once again ending another exciting game versus the New York Knicks, an OT thriller, something we usually see versus this team in this rivalry.
Yeah, man. I mean, we haven't seen a game like this all season between the two of them. They've been a couple 20-point plus blowouts and a 13-point win as well. This is definitely exciting, a little bit more sweaty than I would have liked it to
Mm-hmm.
be, but there's a lot that's going to happen with this Celtics team, especially with Jaylen Brown, as we saw as we played, Bruce. So let's get into some of that news.
Yeah, let's definitely dive into that. If you guys are enjoying the content, let us know what you think down below in the comment section. But Patrick, let's dive into this. And like we mentioned, the Celtics have been unstoppable in this season, and we saw them get on another great game here tonight. Jayson Tatum, Kristaps Porziņģis leading this Celtics squad to a fantastic overtime win, which we saw them win 119 to 117. Tatum getting clutch there for the Celtics, late hitting that three-pointer. We can see from the stats here. Patrick, what really screamed out to you from Tatum, Porzingis, and overall these guys tonight?
And first of all, Jason Tatum, I mean, he was hitting some tough shots on Mikal Bridges. I mean, that's just good defense, but even better offense. It was just
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable seeing him hit those back-to-back fadeaways and having that clutch three after missing that free throw. I know he wanted to grab that one back, but in return, it was a game-tying three instead. But Kristaps Porzingis, man, 8 threes, tying his career high, just absolutely torching the Knicks from the three-point line. It feels like he never even misses a wide open three. I couldn't tell you the last time he's done that, but a logo three too. He was feeling real confident with that flick.
100%. The Latvian laser, as you know, he's kind of
Mhm.
deemed for his 3-point shooting ability. And I feel like he gets that kind of revenge game hype. We always kind of talk about that. It's not really like a main thing to be brought about, but Kristaps Porzingis definitely feels that revenge going up against that Knicks squad. This season, I believe he's had 3 20-point games, all versus this New York Knicks team at least 20 points plus. So just at least goes to show you that he is, feeling that out, can find those weaknesses versus those Knicks teams and can help the Celtics going up against this Knicks team if they meet potentially in the playoffs. So we mentioned they're unstoppable, Patrick, and we kind of look at that. We look at this tweet from Cameron Tabai from the Celtics Wire. We see that the Celtics moved to 33-7 on the road with a 119-114 win at MSG tonight, which that 33 wins is a franchise best and one short of an NBA record. They play that one more road game tomorrow night in Orlando. We've seen the Celtics break some records already this season, right? We've seen them have individual records be broken with Derrick White, passing Isaiah Thomas in that 3-point record. We've seen them as a team pass the Golden State Warriors and making the most threes as a single squad in the NBA. And now you see them potentially beating another record. This team is historical, even if they are going to repeat for champions as well.
That's those road dogs, man. Those road
Mm-hmm.
dogs. This has been something that the Celtics have been praising in that locker room for the past couple of seasons, especially with Joe Mazzulla. They love playing on the road, and they're doing it historically well. One short of that NBA record. I mean, that's something you love to see from the Boston Celtics going into the playoffs. They've definitely had some troubles in the past winning at home. So you love seeing this. At least they're winning some games on the road, especially now locked into that 2 seed. But the Celtics, man, I mean, just unbelievable on the road this year and just speechless with this team all the time, especially with that 3-point record, just constantly spraying with 20 plus threes. Like I talked about in my last video, they've done it many times this year. No team has even come close to those records either, Bruce. So, I mean, this team is going to be exciting, and I can't wait for playoffs.
Exactly, and you talk about those threes, man, top to bottom, everyone on this team can shoot that ball, not even just the stars, not even just, those guys also in the top of the starters like Jrue Holiday, Derrick White, Kristaps Porziņģis, but the Horford, the Sam Hausers, the Payton Pritchards, even the Baylor Shiremans, the Jordan Walshes, everyone's, Torrey Craigs, everyone's hitting those threes for that Celtics team. And Patrick, you mentioned this team as well, making the second round or getting the second seed, excuse me, locked in here with that Cleveland Cavaliers win, as we see from Keith Smith NBA, which was basically inevitable for the past month here. But the Celtics, could tend to maybe rest up for these last three games, taking on Orlando and Charlotte in these last two. Looking at the standings here, we see them locked in at the second. We were discussing before earlier, the Pacers and Knicks can kind of switch. The Bucks and the Pistons, they can all kind of switch in there. But that 7 through 10 is kind of locked in there. So the Celtics going into the playoffs, we'll be playing, Magic, Hawks, Bulls, Heat, whatever kind of finishes towards the end of the season. And being kind of locked in and that 2 seed is a little bit comfortable. I feel comfortable being in that spot. Wouldn't you think so too, Patrick?
Yeah, I would definitely feel comfortable. I mean, I'm just curious to see what lineup they bring out against this Magic team. I think tonight was a real preview, especially with no Al Horford tonight, what we're going to see from the Celtics in the playoffs. I think they're going to run that 9-man rotation, which is totally fine. But this is a step up game for a lot of guys. And like we talked about, we might see some guys sitting out and then play that one game against Charlotte to kind of get them to stay in that a little bit of a groove. But Joe Mazzulla is a competitive guy, so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of guys still play against the Magic.
Oh, I agree. I do think that this Celtics team will still want to compete, still want to win, and there have been some players on this team that still want to compete and still want to win. With them potentially not all the fans agreeing that they should be out there. So we're gonna dive into that and get into that next point here, and I think that's a good transition as we get into this. So let us know your thoughts about the Celtics. But Patrick, this chapter I think describes it perfectly. Playing through the pain. As we see Jaylen Brown, unfortunately for this Celtics team, sit out for the fourth quarter, a little bit of the third, getting some rest as he's been dealing with this knee injury and has been playing through it. A lot of fans have been, questionable of Jaylen Brown playing through this injury. As you know, they think he should rest up, stay healthy. As like we alluded to earlier, the Celtics have that second seed locked up, and with the Celtics playing Orlando these next couple of games, him still needing to get that 65 game threshold to qualify for the All NBA team. What is your kind of stance on this? I know you talked about it a little bit in a video earlier, but for the fans that had maybe didn't see that one.
Yeah, Bruce. So, I mean, the Celtics have definitely been playing a decent amount of games without Jaylen Brown, and, knowing how to pick up the pace and playing without him with that loss, just like the A on my spelling on playing clearly has to be spelled. But I mean, Jaylen Brown has been in and out in the lineup, but he has to play through this pain. He has to because we don't know the intensity of this injury at all. But other than, I mean, man, it's definitely tough seeing Jaylen Brown missing some games. You don't want to see that. You want him to rest, but you also want to see him go into that All NBA team. So it's like, what are we gonna do here? I mean, he's got to get used to playing through the pain. So it's like it's a weird 50-50 kind of split I've got here, Bruce.
Yeah, you mentioned playing through the pain that was, talked about over this last couple stretch of games here from Joe Mazzulla and Jaylen Brown here. Kind of that sentiment of Joe Mazzulla teaching the way of Jaylen Brown how to play through this pain and kind of getting through it, kind of going into the playoffs. But with the Celtics having those couple days of rest with the playing going on, hopefully that would allow Jaylen Brown to kind of rest up that knee, get back into the swing of things, and hopefully you can kind of just stomach through it to get through these 20 minutes if needed through these next couple of games here so he can qualify for that All NBA third team so he could be in that running because I think he's definitely deserving of being on that list. And I know that you definitely agree with that as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, I really just hope that he could kind of pull something together here. I would love to see him win it, but at the same time, what's more important for the team? And it's of course the championship and
Yep.
not those individual awards. But I
Hmm.
mean, he's a competitive guy too. This whole team is. I could say about everyone down the line from 1 to 15. And Jaylen Brown is one of those guys. He's one of the top guys, especially with that road dog mentality. He wants to be out there. He doesn't want to be sitting. And it's also his choice to go out and play there as well. If he didn't think that he was good enough to play, then he wouldn't be playing. But it showed tonight that he really can't move laterally. We saw Jrue Holiday kind of pick up the ball a little bit on the fast break, and it would have been a regular lob for Jaylen Brown, but instead he had to bring it down and try and go for a layup and try and change his game. But like I talked about, he's kind of figuring out his game more and seeing how well he is as a player other than just getting to the cup and being faster than everyone. So this could really also help elevate his game, really get some confidence as a shooting, whether it's from the 3-point line or from his pull up elbow that we see all the time. I think he's going to have to just keep getting to his spots where he's more comfortable and just see the ball go through because he's going to be playing through this injury whether we like it or not.
I love that you kind of mentioned that there right at the end, kind of playing throughs and kind of trying to figure out what he can kind of do and thrive and to get better at with this injury, so that when he does come back fully 100%, he can feel more comfortable in those aspects of his game to help out the Celtics to really dominate. He also, I did see before we started recording as well, that Joe Mazzulla said he liked what he got out of Jaylen Brown tonight as well, which is also some good signs. You know what I mean? That him and Joe Mazzulla are also, ingredients in that Jaylen Brown can play through this injury, like you mentioned. If he feels comfortable playing through this and isn't sitting out, then there's clearly no issue with him. It's not like it's limiting him that much, at least.
Yeah, I think it's just really interesting to see what we got looking forward, Bruce. I mean, we got the playoffs right around the corner, but we know that there's a lot of guys that can step up. Derrick White has been unbelievable from the 3-point line. I mean, he's got to have the quickest release in the NBA. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
I'm watching it tonight. I'm thinking about it because Curry's on right after, and I'm like, does he have a quicker release than him? Like, am I crazy to say that? But like, just the things that he does and the things that Peyton Pritchard does as six man of the year. I'm calling it already. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
care if I have to wait or not, but he is. But
Hmm.
all these guys being able to step up, the bench depth. I mean, they've been doing this without him and a bunch of other guys all season long. I think they said 30 different starting lineups this year for the Celtics, so they're used to it. They're used to it. They've won a championship before. They know what it takes, and we shouldn't be as worried as we should be. But you don't want to see any injuries at this point in the season, regardless.
100%. And as we all know as Celtics fans, and as like we've said on this channel here multiple times, the one thing that we really think concurs this team is the injury. So that's why
Mhm.
it's, the major, freak out point with the Celtics fans here. But long as we can stay confident, finish out these last couple games strong, like you mentioned, as they're locked into the second seed at this point, I think we'll be into some good energy going into that playoff run. But Patrick, this video was fantastic. Getting another duo down together here. We broke down the Celtics' big win and a potential, second round matchup preview versus the New York Knicks, in which would be a fantastic series here. And we also talked about this Jaylen Brown injury and how it could really affect the Celtics going into the playoffs. But let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. We will be live once again tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to have any questions asked and talk about the Boston Celtics, make sure to come join. Patrick and I will be live, and we'll catch you guys then. See you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your night, and go Boston Celtics.